Okay, so we're now live, Chair.
I'd like to welcome all councillors to October's Management Committee, virtual again. I'll take agenda as it comes. Apologies for absence. We got anybody?
None received, Chair.
Code of conduct is the usual thing about people declaring if there any disclosable pecuniary interest. I'm not aware of any on the agenda, but people can disclose it if they come to that part, and the clerk is always available for advice before a meeting if there's any doubts. Moving on to agenda item 3, the minutes of the last meeting. We've got those starting on page 3 of the pack. I'll go through them page by page in case there's anything that people want to speak that's not elsewhere on the agenda. Page 3 and 4.
Only thing on page 3, Julian, I don't know if you've noticed, against action 1, it's continuous monitoring arrangements for stock. You missed the T, that's all. Just if it's going on the website, someone will pick up on it.
Yeah.
At least it didn't say socks.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. Yeah, I'll correct that.
No problem. Easy
5
one.
and 6. Seven and 8. 9 and 10. 11 and 12. 13, 14 and 15. So there's no change of the changes. Somebody want to move that they're a correct copy?
I will.
I'll second if no one else does.
I'll second.
Excellent, thank you, Graham. And we can move on then with item 4, the action list. I do notice this is getting quite long, and when I dipped into it earlier, some of them obviously are on hold post-COVID. Rather than go through all 16, is there 16 points from memory? Yeah, 16 points. Does anybody want to pick anything out? I'm looking particularly at Claire in case there's any progress been made.
Just an update on number 5. I've had, I think it's MSB composite. It's definitely M something B composite out today. He sent me through just, that's what was pinging, just some different models of doors to replace the one in the Radley. So I'll probably put those across in an email for you, and so you can tell me what window space they really need, and then I can look at what the prices are against the models that are needed to be able to see the kit.
How do they link with the wooden ones, roughly? I mean, are they a lot dearer, a lot cheaper, a lot? I'm not, not.
I can't remember off the top of my head what the wooden one was, but the cheapest one I've just seen, I've not seen all of them, was about £840.
Right, sounds dearer, actually. Yeah,
but again,
okay,
like I said,
yeah.
I've not looked at all of them yet. So
No. Well, that's fine.
Any movement on, well, we're doing sort of, spending money on what's sensible improvements. Any movement on 6?
6.
Flooring.
No, the diamond flooring that came out didn't come back to me with any quotes.
Unusual.
And yeah, they didn't send the quotes through, and when I've chased, they've not responded to me, so I don't know what's going on with them. I need to try and source some alternative prices for the flooring.
How dangerous is it?
Sorry?
How dangerous is it?
Which was?
The floor. I mean, I got the impression it was one of those things that we had to get done relatively.
That one I thought was the actual flooring where the carpet is. The one behind the bar, Paul is secured with some safety tape at the minute, but it will need replacing.
That one has more urgency about it, doesn't it? Behind the bar than the
carpeted area, yes.
yeah, the
you
area where
can't-
the
you can't
staff
run with it.
work.
If somebody trips on a bit of tape that's coming loose, we're going to get
Yeah.
absolutely mullered. I was councillor
Yeah.
in on that.
Because it does
so-
get
Sorry.
quite wet, doesn't it, at times? Damp.
It can do, yes.
Yeah.
If they're not
Although-
careful.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but it's, you know, it does need doing as soon as we can, I think, that, personally.
Mhm.
Have we got in hand, Claire, or is that another?
Sorry,
Are we getting prices in hand for that?
I still didn't quite catch that one, Mike.
No, I
Are we?
Are getting prices in hand for that?
We've got one price for that, but we need a comparative one again. So again, I need to try and source someone that does that type of flooring to give me a comparative quote. I will try and get that done for full council. I'll see if I can get someone out. Quote.
Okay. 7 and 8 relate to painting. I noticed 7's done, so that can come off,
Chair,
presumably.
a lot of echoing on the line. If people could mute their mics, it might help.
don't know how to mute mine, I'll be honest.
I'm on speaker, so it doesn't, for that reason, it doesn't normally create a problem there. Can you still hear me?
Yep.
Can hear you better now.
Anything else on in relation to the leisure centre in terms of refurbishment issues? 'Cause I was looking at 7 because it's got a red star. Does that mean it's completed, Julian? Excuse my ignorance.
No, that one was the Millennium Lounge. It's deferred.
We said we weren't doing it just yet, didn't we?
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to look at alternative people for the repainting of the toilets because Rick has now come back with he can't do anything until January. So I'm going to need to look at try and get another quote somewhere in the region of what he'd quoted.
It's quite a lot to go out in there. The only one I thought of is, did we make any progress on number 13 on set of scales, and in particular that links to item 1, the stock issue?
13, no, I'm planning to get that done on Friday. I just need Pauline to get the right set of scales. I don't want to order the wrong ones, basically, and waste money. So once I sit down with Paul on Friday, we'll get those ordered.
Is the
Now,
dishwasher
you're
in
echoing
14?
me. Claire, I can't hear what you're saying. I think, is it Anne's mic seems to be?
It is, but I'm not sure how to do it. I'll try. I'm no good at this.
I can see your mic going away there.
Yeah, I'm just frightened of putting myself off it completely because I'm not sure which is which.
Should have a little
I'm not sure. Have a look, which is my voice thing. Oh, I'll have to just press 1 and hope. Is that it? That's it, isn't it?
No, we can still hear you.
You can still hear. You're only shutting me up.
There'll be a little sign that's got a picture of a microphone, and it will probably have mute next to it, like an old-fashioned microphone
Let me just see.
on your screen.
Is that it?
No, we can still hear you.
God's sake. No.
That might have done it.
Let's turn the volume up. Oh,
I think we'll just have to soldier on.
Yep.
I don't know. We've got live.
We've not made any progress on. Is any other stock issues cropped up?
Sorry?
Any other stock issues cropped up?
No stock issues. We had one where, sorry, a member of staff had forgotten to put a packet of pork scratchings through, but once we flagged the question, they paid for them. So it's just a simple forgetting to do that, but nothing major, no.
Is the dishwasher in?
Dishwasher is not in. I didn't get a chance to do it before I went on holiday. And then I was at home working on stuff last 2 weeks because Kelly's college had a case of COVID. So she had to isolate. And I figured as I hadn't been in the centre for 2 weeks, I was better to work from home in case I took anything in there. So we didn't have to close again.
Brilliant.
But
Right,
yeah, I'll
we'll
get on
leave
top of
that
it all.
as it is. Just make a plea that can we try and tidy some of these up because it's getting quite a long
Yeah.
list.
And 16 Julian is completed. LED lights are in. It's like
Oh, well done.
big illuminations when you put them all on.
Amazing what new difference new light makes. Okay, so to move on to item 5, non-confidential matters in relation to the report, and we've had a report from Claire in relation to where figures are and where they're moving to. Quite a lot of the reports that we do are in terms of how we're planning to operate the centre are done under part 2. So for the benefit of the people, because I know a few people do watch this and it's watched on live stream, I just want to express the gratitude for how hard people are working behind the scenes, and just perhaps report some of the things which, strictly speaking, were in part 2 of the last parish council, but I've decided it's worthwhile getting into part 1 just so we can create a minute, and if people sees it, and that is that because obviously we're in a state of fluidity between tiers and, you know, we might be locked down or we might be locked down. We had a long discussion about what the role of the centre, you know, short-term role of the centre is at full council last time in part 2. And it was the chair and Councillor Vogue that not me as chair, Cathy as chair, that were very clear that we should be following best value to make sure that we don't try and keep everything open at all costs, but likewise we don't just look at costs as the only issue. And Graham was very involved in that debate too. So I know that that's something that the numbers that we get from Claire helps us formulate our plans too. I know that, you know, we meet every 2 weeks, which is, you know, it's about as frequent as anybody can be, but things change in a very dynamic manner. And therefore I did a response to Claire this morning, which I let her see about the sort of ideas that have come out, which I will keep in part 2 because it reflects the private conversations with the chair and others in terms of making sure that we stick to that best value as much as possible. And this is the key bit for any parishioners and ratepayers that are listening, that we try and get out of this with the support level that we established in the budget. And and one of the real guide levels is that we cannot keep the centre open and effectively run a deficit budget by expecting next year's precept to cover it. If that's the case, and we can't do that by staying open, then we will need to progressively close unless we're closed first. So the real missive that the full council is giving us, and I think it's a very fair and reasonable one, is to use the funds that we've got as well as we can, but the benchmark is the amount of support that we budgeted for, and the backup position is not to use anything more than we've got in reserve. And I clarified that with the clerk as a matter, and I want to read that into part 1 so that people can understand, the democratic process can understand the work that's being done to try and get the centre to next year, and it might even be the year after that, where it can be deliver the maximum community benefit for the price of subsidy that we've recorded. Okay, and on that basis, Claire, I'll let you then steal my thunder and go through your report.
Sorry, you were going to ask something then, Anne?
This is going to be discussed in part 2 as well.
Yes, and then in part 2 we'll go
fine.
how we're going to make that work, and I've circulated the letter as to what these sort of options are.
But I got that letter at 7:15. I'm not had that. Yeah, I'm sorry, but it was late.
I sent it to Fred this morning, and I was looking for a response from Claire to sort of come back with some, and we'll have to cover what's in it. There's only 4 points in there, so I wanted people to at least see the 4 points that we need to cover, and have Claire's report. And as I said, I
Yeah,
sent it to Claire this morning about 9 o'clock and said, well, I mean, I've been busy all day, and I presume Claire has.
Yeah,
been
I
too.
understand that. I understand.
Yeah, okay. So as per the report sent round to parish councillors, September's bar sales came in at 5.1k against what was originally obviously budgeted at the beginning of the year, financial year, at 14.5. We're currently at about 15% of the budgeted income for the year, and a deficit on the income we were expecting if everything was running fully and everything, of about 79k. We have been making cost savings, and obviously the less alcohol sold, the less alcohol
Sorry,
bought in. So
I can't hear you. Claire, I can't hear you. You're breaking
do
up.
you
a
mind
lot.
I'm struggling.
Please, anybody not speaking, please switch your mics off, please.
Is that better? Oh. Am I off? Can't hear you, Graham.
And I might be able to control yours from this end if you just bear with me a sec. But if you want to speak,
I
you'll
can-
need to kind of wave your hand at me. Bear with me.
And if you just move your mouse, a little box pops up.
No, I haven't got a mouse. It's an iPad, Graham. Very small.
there we go.
Touch your finger on the screen and a little menu should pop up.
Sorry, I think Julian's managed to mute Anne's mic. Okay, so just to go upon me back over, September bar sales came at just over a third of the original budgeted for the month, 5.1k against 14.5, as Graham disappeared. We're at 15% of the budgeted income for the year as per the original budget, and so that runs a deficit of the income of the expected income at the start of the financial year of 79k. However, like I say, there are some direct costs which have obviously been reduced as a result of lower bar sales. We've not had to buy in as much stock, and we've been making other savings as well. October's bar take to the 11th of October, so to Sunday sales, was 2,300. So as we're staying in tier 2 at present, we're projecting approximately 6.5k for the month of October. Obviously, should we end up in the tier 3, the bar would close, and that would impact on the bar sales. Sorry, we have noticed that Tuesday nights have not been doing very well with regards to bar sales, and are moving any band practices that would have been on the Tuesday to other nights, so that we can close the bar on the Tuesday and save on, running costs for that at present. We're looking currently at, we're reviewing a couple of other nights as well as to which are cost effective and which aren't. Well, obviously I'll report further on that once any decisions have been made. The room hire is still relatively low, with the adoption people and the foster people not being allowed to utilise us by their parameters until about January time. We're reliant upon training courses, band hire, and we'll be slightly further impacted by the fact that certain social groups, like we had some users that were, they do like, it's not board games, but strategy games, and they can't use us at present, what with the current lockdown measures. They are chomping at the bit for once it is reduced to come back though, so that income will come back to us eventually. and then the performance against the revised models, it's looking, we're about 50% of the, well, for the bar sales, sorry, of the management adjusted figures, and currently, bear with me a second, about 21% of the figures I had adjusted at the start of the year, not start of the year, sorry, start of the furlough, after the furlough. So we're looking at being closer currently to the management committee figures, but we need to keep balanced, obviously, and keep trying to progress more towards hitting closer to what I was predicting in order to make sure that we have less of a deficit at the end of the year. And I think last one, you've got a review of where we're up to with the quotes and stuff in the report. But the last one was I was asked to look into the job retention scheme bonus. And there's a little summary of that there. 4 of the 7 furloughed staff will be eligible for this. So that's a potential 4K retention bonus if we can keep the, you know, the centre going and the staff, pardon me, employed. So obviously I know we're all working towards best value and trying to keep the centre running at its best capacity for what we can afford. So we'll probably discuss that further. I would hazard in part 2. But other than that, I'm pretty much done with the finance report unless anyone's got any questions.
Sorry, I left myself on mute there, Clay. Thank you very much for that. It's very useful. Anybody got anything else to add in part 1? Everybody's on mute apart from Julian. Julian, are you happy for me to move part 2 and stop the recording?
Yes, please.
I've been trying to get in. I am actually surprised that band practice is allowed.
And practices are still allowed by the regulations, as long as they space at 2 metre distance within the room, and they're utilising the Middleton room down the back, so they've got plenty of space to
I was just
social
surprised
distance.
because we're not allowed him singing at churches, so that's why I was surprised.
Yeah, you're not allowed, for some reason the churches aren't allowing it, but we've even got the choir from the local church have been utilising one of the rooms for practice.
I was going to ask a question under part 2, but I'll leave it there. Julian, are you happy to move to part 2?
If you move it to part 2, Chair, then I'll switch off the live stream, please.
Right.
Oh, okay.
A big heavy switch, Julian. I've got an old Betamax recorder in the corner there that is like really wanting to.